Hello everyone and welcome to John Drinks, a channel where I, John, have a drink. Today we're doing a peated Speyside, which is a little bit weird. We've got this. This is Old Ballantruan. This is one of the more obscure releases, I suppose. It's the Tomintoul. It's a peaty Tomintoul. It's a bit of a weird Tomintoul, really, which I suspect is why they don't spell out that it's a Tomintoul. You know, they say it's in the region of Tomintoul. You know, they do name drop it on the tin, but you know, they're not saying this is a Tomintoul. That's probably because they've got a bit of a sort of a brand identity, I suppose, with being is it the gentle malt or the understated malt or the don't think about it twice malt, something along those lines. That means, you know, it's easy going and chill and chillaxed and maybe a little stoned. And this is not that. This is a bit more, you know, potent and in your face. Tomintoul have done some peated ones. I think they did like a peaty tang. Tomintoul's not a distillery I keep a very close eye on, I won't lie. They don't wow me. I'm not saying they do anything wrong. In fact, they do a lot of good work by the looks of it. It's just not one that catches my eye. And likewise, this seems to be a whiskey that doesn't catch a lot of people's eye. I'm not quite sure what drew me to want to try this in the first place. I was in a bar last week. I got to finish early because I was knackered. And I was like, one of the supervisors, I was like, do you want to come in early and like let me go because I'm tired? And they were like, yeah, cool, whatever. And I ended up going to the Bow Bar. Which, if you don't know, it's a whiskey bar in Edinburgh, and they have a lot of whiskey, hence being a whiskey bar. It's about the size of my living room, to be fair, which is small. And they've got about 400, 500 bottles. I don't quite know how they fit them all in there. Well, I do know how they fit them all. It's a fucking jumble, but they manage. I saw Old Ballantruan on the menu, and I was like, oh, I don't think I've ever tried that. I'll give it a go. I tried it, really liked it, and clearly I really liked it because I ended up buying a bottle. So that's fun. It does have emblazoned on it Speyside Glenlivet, and it does look like a bit of an old-timer in terms of the actual bottle design. I really like that it's quite busy. You know, I quite like a busy label. I quite like these slightly old-school ones where it's just text. It's not going to be everyone's thing, because people are like, ugh, reading. Ugh, no thank you. You know, it's got like a teeny tiny little picture at the top. Sort of a crucifix design almost, and then it's just talking to you. It is a black bottle, but, well, it's actually a dark green bottle. When you hold it up to the light, it is actually dark green, but to the naked eye, it appears black. Which, thank God, because if you had to do a stock take, you actually can see through the damn thing, which is nice. Let's say olive green, that's the colour. I'm reviewing the bottle colour now. I've fallen from grace. Okay, cool. I'm going to read some of the nonsense on here. We're going to talk a little bit about it. We're going to drink some. I'm going to pour some now, actually, and give it a little time to do its aerating whilst we discuss this. I've also got the tin here because there's more spiel on the tin. I know it doesn't matter if it's not on the bottle and all that lot, but at the same time, fuck it, I've got it to hand, alright? So it says on the label, Old Ballantruan is distilled in the traditional manner in the prestigious Speyside Glenlivet region, and unusually for this district, it is made with heavily peated malted barley to impart a distinctive and unique flavour. Based on what I've tried of it so far, I'd go with that, to be honest. It is pretty unique. It's you know, it stands on its own 2 feet. Distilled and bottled in Scotland, duh. The Old Ballantruan Whisky Company, Ballindalloch, Banffshire, Speyside, Scotland. Now, something of note, actually, on this one. It very proudly states that it's unchill filtered, but it is coloured. So it's one of these kind of like halfway in ones. I don't know why you'd bother, really. I mean, like, it's not like colour on that's like, you know, nothing to scream home about. So maybe it's just that, like, on its own, the whiskey is like hella pale. But there's nothing wrong with that. Old Ballantruan is distilled using heavily peated malted barley at the traditional manner. After sleeping for many years in hand-picked oak casks, this whiskey has been bottled at 50%. and without any chill filtration in order to retain its layered and integrated peaty flavours. Cool, so higher ABV, which tick, non-chill filtered, tick, but then colouring it, it's like, you know, stumbling at the last hurdle. It's a really strange one. However, it doesn't ruin it. Luckily, I'd be curious to know what it tasted like without colouring, obviously, but hey-ho, it is as it is. So we'll pop that down. And there's way more spiel on the actual tin. The tin itself, quite understated, quite, almost looks like a page out of a Bible in a way, doesn't it? It's really kind of a little grim, really. They call this their Smokey Original. It is a no-age statement. They do a 10-year-old as well. The 10-year-old sets you back about 55 quid. This was 30, in the region of 38, if memory serves. This is obviously meant as a more, not supermarket level exactly, but, you know, mainstream accessible version of the whiskey. You can tell that from a lot of the language they're using. You know, there's a lot of layman terminology there. But then there's also a lot of like natural presentation stuff. So it's a curious blend of the two worlds, which I'm here for. I'm into. Old Ballantruan owes its name to an exceptional source of the purest of waters, the Ballantruan Spring, nestled in the Cromdale Hills in the Speyside Glenlivet region close to Tomintoul. Now, that's the only mention of Tomintoul on this. The highest village in the Scottish Highlands. The water from the Ballantruan Spring significantly contributes to this remarkable single malt. Old Ballantruan is distilled using heavily peated malted barley in the traditional manner, blah blah blah, that's just repeating. And it does have some like sight and nose and tasting. Interesting that I will read the colour because obviously that's manufactured. Warm gold. So maybe they're going for a consistency thing there. Maybe it's that they've got all these printed and some of the batches came out really pale and they were like, oh shit, right. Yeah. I mean, you could just take, you know, the colour thing off, I guess, if that was an issue. But anyway, I'm speculating. I'm guessing. So, let's pop that down. Some whiskey in it. It is a pale gold colour because that's what it's designed to be. On the nose, there's a real, like, a rich, like a maple syrup bacon, but there's also kind of like a funk to it, kind of like goat's cheese. There's a kind of a lactic tang to it as well. A little bit briny, a little bit of like sea salt on there as well. It's a touch vegetal as well, kind of like if you just cut an aubergine. I know aubergines don't have like a potent smell to them, but they do still have like an aroma to them. I'm mainly getting is just kind of like this rich, beautiful, smoky flavour. There's a little bit of like a balsamic vinegar kind of a thing going on as well. Not in a kind of like an overly acidic kind of a way, but more kind of like the scent of it without the acetic tang, if that makes sense. Tiny bit of citrus in there, a little bit of lemon peel, but you do just have these like wonderful, warming, smoked, like smoked bacon, hot dogs kind of an aroma, which I love about smoked whiskies. They just kind of remind you of a good breakfast. If not, I'm not necessarily advocating hot dogs for breakfast, but we've probably mostly been there at some point. We've all been young and hungover once, right? Stop judging me. Right. Nose is wonderful. Nice and smoky, a little bit sweet, a little bit savoury, plenty going on. I'm going to stick it in my mouth now and find out what we're dealing with. I mean, I already know because I've been like firing into the bottle, but for the sake of this video. The peat is very forward. There's a wonderful kind of like smoked bacon flavour again, but in addition to that, there's like a salted caramel, toffee, spun sugar, quite sweet notes as well. There's a little bit of like an Ovaltine kind of a malty flavour as well. Or like the middle of a Milky Bar, so that kind of like a lovely, rich, gentle malt flavour to it. The peat carries on through, it's a constant. It's very present. It's very rich, it's very delectable. Element of bright citrus as well that I'm noticing on the second sip. Close to like orange oils, rather than like a bitter lemon or anything like that. Close to like a bright orange or tangerine. They do taste different. Fight me. The smoke just sticks around. The beautiful briny smokiness to it that just kind of keeps with you long after everything else is gone. It's a really domineering flavour. Of course it is. But it's a beautiful flavour. So I don't mind. Gonna pop a bit of water in it now, because this is 50%. I was gonna touch cloudy, so that's good news, if nothing else. I'm just gonna pop in a bit more. I tend to go quite sparing with the water. Maybe that's not a good thing. The nose now is taking me back to like Ardbeg 10. There's that kind of like a knackered rubber kind of a scent to it. It's much more earthy, like freshly dug soil. Like if you were, I don't know, digging up the lawn for some reason because you decided you wanted concrete instead. Because people do that for some reason. I don't know why. There's something of freshly mowed grass to it as well. There's something a little bit of like pine needles as well, like you brought a Christmas tree inside. Those lemon notes that I was picking up earlier are a little more pronounced. Okay, so the smoke's subdued a little bit, and it's let all these other elements come out, which is really fun. I like that. Do you know what, I have it to hand. It's if you made fudge with this stuff. This is not a sponsored fucking, although if Malden want to, this stuff's great. This is smoked sea salt. If you made like a fudge with this stuff, that's basically what this tastes like. It's sweet, buttery, there's an element of smoke, there's a salinity to it, and it all works together. It's brilliant. The finish doesn't linger as long. There's more kind of like vanilla compounds coming through as well. It's a little more cakey in terms of flavour. It's a little sweeter. There is still a fair bit of that kind of like lovely, rich, savoury smokiness, but it's subdued. It's allowing the other flavours to develop. The bright citrus notes have kind of gone away a little bit, and it's become a bit more kind of like almost like a Zabaione, kind of like a rich, almost a sort of a panna cotta-like kind of a flavour. It's rich dairy, basically. What I will say is the smoke's a little more integrated now. It's working with the other flavours rather than masking them when you add the water. So it really depends on what you want out of it, I suppose, as much as anything else. Both work. I think I'm preferring it with water though. It feels like it's gelling a bit better. Yeah. It's a little nutty as well. It's kind of like a peanut and hazelnut kind of a thing going on. Maybe I've just got nuts on the mind. What else is new? This is delightful. Let me know down below in the comments. Have you tried Old Ballantruan? Did you even know it existed? What do you think of Tomintoul? Are you a big fan of it? Is it kind of more of a peripheral concern as it is with me? Let me know what your thoughts are. Thumb this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more shenanigans of a man who has a candelabra in the background, because that's my life now. And do join me next time, where I'll be drinking something else.